cheat codes can be a lot of fun, though sometimes they go well above and beyond. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the 10 craziest cheat codes ever discovered. Starting off at number 10, it's Rage 2, the Cheat Wizard. Rage 2 is part of a dying breed of games that still have cheat codes, and there is some appropriately weird stuff here. I mean, you don't go out on a whimper, you go out on a bang, right? If this is where we go out as far as cheat codes go, at least we're in good hands. Actually getting cheats in Rage is kinda strange on its own. You have to buy them from an in-game vendor called Magoo the Unborn, who sells them at his store, which appears at random locations around the map, usually somewhere in the middle of nowhere, conveniently enough. But at least the balloons make it stand out when you see it. Most of the cheats are pretty amusing, but not too crazy. Stuff like making enemies die in one hit, or causing red barrels to rain from the sky in front of you, etc., etc. Goofy stuff. The craziest one is definitely He's on Fire, which makes it so the NBA Jam announcer,
"Welcome to NBA Jam!"
Tim Kitzrow, yes, the actual person who did the NBA Jam color commentary in the 1990s. Yeah, he commentates over the in-game action, and he does it a lot.
Can't stop, won't stop!
If you have any nostalgia at all for NBA Jam, this is a hilarious edition, and
Whoa, baby!
if you don't, it's another bizarre non sequitur. Either way, it's crazy, and I would hope people find it funny, because I sure do.
Oh, now you mean business!
Coming in at number 9 in the Grand Theft Auto series, a pedestrian riot. This is an all-time classic cheat. The riot adds a little more chaos to the madness of Grand Theft Auto games, making it so that every pedestrian on the street becomes aggressive. Like, you don't last long, and don't expect to, because this is basically like total insanity. The only way you're gonna survive this is cheating yourself some protection, which you can do, sure, but this is clearly one of the more dangerous modes to activate on this list, because if you save your game while this is active, that is it. It will never go away, there is no option to disable it, and you're just stuck dealing with an endless riot forever. Grand Theft Auto games can be notoriously buggy when it comes to cheats, and everyone who's a fan of the series knows at least one simple thing. Never cheat then save. It's bad enough to try to follow the damn train without having to deal with this chaos as well. The cheats literally make everyone in-game crazy, and if you make the mistake of saving, it's gonna make you crazy too. Crazy pissed off. Maybe the actual cheat is that if you cheat in this game, it will cause you to want to start a riot. At number 8 is Rogue Squadron 2's Flying a Car. The original Rogue Squadron had a cheat that took players years to find, the Naboo Fighter. And while it's interesting it took so long for people to dig it up, the actual vehicle is not that interesting. Now this secret vehicle in the sequel, this is something different. Sure, you can unlock famous Star Wars vehicles like the Millennium Falcon, the TIE Advanced, or the Slave One, but what you really want is the convertible. Nothing is better than flying through the void of space with the top down. This is actually a specific car too, the 1968 Buick Electra, and even more ridiculous, it's pound for pound the best starfighter in the game with crazy speed and agility and the best secondary weapons of any ship, period, no competition. There is even a bobblehead in the cockpit of this vehicle. If you want to get gold medals in every mission, this is the vehicle to use, which might actually be the craziest part of this all-around crazy cheat. At number 7 is Tomb Raider's Exploding Lara Croft. The original Tomb Raider games were notable for their bizarre cheat inputs. Instead of just going to a cheat menu and putting in a code or pressing a series of buttons in-game, you had to perform certain moves and actions to activate a cheat. Like, to skip to the next level in Tomb Raider 2, you need to hold the walk button, sidestep left, left, back, forward, release walk, turn around 3 times, jump forward and roll. For the game that is actually quite a bit about precise movement, it makes sense, but that's a hell of a thing to pull off. Definitely one of the strangest of these codes is, well, the Exploding Lara cheat, which by the way does exactly what you think it does. To perform it, you hold walk, step forward, then back, turn around 3 times, this time still holding the walk button, then backflip. Perform it correctly and you explode. Maybe one of the most pointless, elaborate, and hilarious cheats of all time. In a game where half the fun is jumping off ledges and falling to your death, I guess it only makes sense that you get a cheat that blows you up. At number 6 is Earthworm Jim and the alternate heads cheat. There's an interesting story to this one outside of it just being a pretty weird thing in a very weird game. If you enter a certain code in the cheat menu, it'll change Jim's head. There's a few different combinations, glasses with a mustache, classic of course, an afro, but perhaps one of the strangest ones is Donkey Kong with an arrow through his head. Why the Nintendo reference? Well, I guess it's a joke that the developers snuck in regarding Donkey Kong Country's release date, November 1994, which is very close to the SNES release of Earthworm Jim, which is October of that same year. The cheat only worked on the Sega Genesis version of the game, which had been out for months before Donkey Kong came out, August of 1994, so it's most likely a playful jab at the game's competition. It's kind of surreal seeing what is clearly a Mario character on a Sega system. At least it was at the time. Nowadays, you're always seeing Sega characters show up in Nintendo games, but this was a time when Sega and Nintendo were bitter rivals. A time when Sega did what Nintendo don't. So this was pretty unusual. At number 5 is Banjo-Kazooie's Cheater Punishment. To activate cheats in the original Banjo-Kazooie on the Nintendo 64, you had to go to an actual in-game location and jump on each letter individually in a sequence. Normally that wouldn't be too bad, but these codes are long. These are the kind of codes you put in. Cheat once it's shown, but the long tunnel grill's now gone. Cheat now, Banjo will be able to see it on Nabnut's table. You can't make any mistakes, otherwise you have to do the whole thing over. And that's not even the crazy part. I mean, the crazy part's the one that turns you into a washing machine. As a cruel joke, if you input any more than 2 cheats that didn't involve revealing eggs or ice keys, items that were part of that whole infamous stop and swap system that never actually did anything, the game just outright deletes your save. I mean, it warns you about it first, but this is Banjo-Kazooie, a sort of irreverent game, so you'd think that those warnings about deleting save files would just be a joke, but no, they're gone. They get deleted. This one isn't crazy because of the cheats themselves, but what the game does to you if you use them. It's an instance where the punishment definitely does not fit the crime. At number 4 is Time Splitter's Future Perfect's Cascade. The Time Splitter series was basically the spiritual successor to GoldenEye, so of course it goes all in on one of that game's most defining features, the cheats. What you'd expect, it's all here. Invincibility, infinite ammo, but by the 3rd game in the series, things were starting to get weird. Like the human gun sounds cheat, which replaces the normal firing sounds with people making gun sounds with their mouths. Or Cascade, which replaces textures with this gray scrolling binary. You know, like The Matrix for whatever reason. Probably the most bizarre one is this, twist, pun intended, on an old classic. I mean, you've seen big head mode, but have you seen rotating head mode? Get it? Twist, rotate. Yeah, it makes it so everyone's head constantly rotates. And it's not just for show either. Not for you anyways. The AI's sight range actually rotates with the head, making it completely impossible to sneak up on anybody. At number 3, Assassin's Creed 3. The Turkey Assassin. Not really a series that's known for its cheats, so it really stands out that we're talking about an Assassin's Creed 3 cheat. To see this elusive assassin, you first have to head to the home base, the Davenport homestead, and lean on a corner on the back wall near the porch, and then whistle. A turkey will show up for some reason. Now target it and input the famous Konami code. Up, down, left, right, BA. And the turkey transforms into an assassin turkey, complete with a little hood. Aww. This is one of the most pointless cheats I've ever seen, but it's certainly interesting, at least. Sadly, the turkey can't actually assassinate anyone, although I'm not certain why you would expect it to. It is, in fact, a turkey. At number 2 is Age of Mythology's Crazy Secret Units. The Age of Empires series has some history coming up with weird units you can use for fun, like the Cobra Car or Furious the Monkey Boy, but with Age of Mythology, they really go nuts with the secret units. Like Bella, who's just a dog but is insanely overpowered. Type Wov Woo to spawn a flying purple hippo that has a rainbow trail, follow it around. It casts a heart-shaped shadow, and when they attack, they spit out cartoon hearts. Yeah, I just said all that. Input O Canada and you will spawn a laser bear, which both sounds and is bizarre. It's a bear that shoots laser beams from its eyes and attacks with 2 monkeys. If you wonder why it's O Canada, well, the Canadian flag is its cape. Also, most powerful unit in the game. Makes sense, right? Now, if you input tines of power, it summons a Fork Boy, which is just a cartoon hit in overalls with a pitchfork. You zoom in on him, and he kind of looks like a Vault Boy from Fallout, or the Big Boy. I don't know, it's crazy. It's everything in this game, all the units, they're nuts. And finally, at number 1 is Enter the Matrix's secret multiplayer mode. I mean, just cheating at all in this game is an ordeal. In the main menu, you'll find an option to hack. This leads you to an extensive hacking subgame that's just, yeah, there's a lot going on in here. You can't just type in cheat from the start. You can only input words into the command line that you've learned through exploring the directories, which eventually you'll get the cheat command with enough poking around. And while most of the cheats are pretty standard, there's one in particular that's just totally insane. Multiplayer mode. The fact that there's an entire multiplayer part of the game that's completely hidden is crazy enough. I mean, you don't do that. From my research, it just seems like it was part of the game left on the cutting room floor, partially finished. So they left it in as a bonus for curious players to discover. Playing it, you can tell they never really finished it. It doesn't exactly feel great, and the UI elements are obviously placeholders. Still, it's got all the characters, Trinity, Morpheus, that classic Matrix character, the janitor, and, oh yeah, a car. Yes, it's a fighting game where you can play as a car. Multiple versions of a car, even. Like, this is 3 levels of insanity. First, the elaborate and completely optional hacking minigame, then the secret multiplayer mode, and finally, most insane of all, a fighting game where you can be a car. Give me the blue pill, I just want to go back to sleep. Anyways, that's all the crazy cheat codes we're going to talk about today. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe, and don't forget to enable all notifications. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.